Hi, my name is Bryant, and this video is a walkthrough of our family's 29-foot 2004 Itasca Spirit Class C RV. We made this video specifically to help our renters get better acquainted with our rig. When we aren't making our own memories in the RV, we rent it out through Outdoorsy, which is like an Airbnb but for campers. Check out our other video about the experiences we've had so far with Outdoorsy. You can also find links to our camper below to see what it's like. You'll soon learn that the RV and camping world is super friendly and always willing to help out. Don't believe me? Go talk to any neighbor next time you're out. So this here is our RV, or as my family likes to say,
That's an RV. Yeah. But don't you go falling in love with it now, because we're taking it with us when we leave here next month.
I'll start on the outside and then let my wife Allie narrate the inside stuff. First, we'll start off at the front door. The first storage compartment down to the right is the propane tank. Now, some campers have external storage tanks, but ours is built in. It's also called liquid propane, so if you see LP anywhere, it's talking about the propane gas. Down here is the on-off valve. Personally, I always keep the propane turned off when I'm not using it. It's perfectly safe to leave it on, but with my little one sleeping right above me, that's just one safety variable I can control. Now, our RV uses propane to run the stove and the hot water heater, which Allie will talk about later. It can also run the fridge if you are dry docking, meaning you are not hooked up to a campsite with electricity and water. Next, we have a storage compartment. You'll find there are a lot of storage compartments in RVs and campers. On the left, we keep a lantern, a jack, and a stove. To the right, we keep gas, tiki torch oil, an extension cord for the second air conditioner, which you'll see inside later, some random tools, and super importantly, ant and bug killer. Because we live in Texas, spreading out ant killer 360 degrees around our camper is on the checklist of must-dos when we set up the campsite. Also, there's a big blue mat folded up underneath there that opens up into a huge front porch, so when you're done, just fold it up, stick it back in there. Next, we'll wrap around the front. You'll notice this white shade bra. See below for where we bought ours. We went camping once in the summer without one and now refuse to camp without it. It comes on and off really easy with corner door straps, lower door magnets, and side view mirror straps. Not only does it give great protection from the sun and heat, it also provides privacy to the whole inside. Continuing around, the next storage compartment is the generator. We leave it locked, and I highly doubt you'll ever need to open it up. The generator runs on the same gasoline tank as the RV does and turns on really easily from the inside. The typical rental includes a certain number of hours per day for free and is charged hourly after that. Most people, our family included, hook up to the electricity at the campsite, so we rarely turn on the generator. Next is an important compartment. It's the water hose, dump tank hose, and electric hookup cable storage. Now, I'm an eye surgeon, so I like to keep things not only organized, but separated from pretty clean to assumed dirty. Everything to the right of the box is considered pretty clean. First, hook up the water splitter valve. Next, attach the white water filtration tube. The soft, flexible black hose is for clean water going into the camper. Take it out and hook it up to your water source. There's a valve on both ends, so run water through the hose first and turn it off before hooking it up to the camper. So once you run water through it, screw it into the camper intake port and gently turn the water on. If you don't run water first, you'll end up blowing lots of stale air into the water lines. Not the worst thing, but try to avoid it. If you do forget, the air pressure might scare you the first time you turn the water on. Next is the orange hose. Set that aside, you'll see what it's for later. Now, pull out the brown box and set it over to the right of the back tire. Again, we'll get to that. So, to the right of the clean hoses is a compartment with a coiled up black wire or cable. This is the electrical hookup. You'll notice that the end piece is stored into an outlet. That outlet is what the generator powers up. When you use the generator, if that plug is not in that outlet, you're running the generator in vain. So before calling me and telling me the power is not on when you're running the generator, which happens quite often, just check that plug. When you're ready to hook up the electricity, 11 out of 10 times it's right where the water hookup is. You will often see 3 different electrical outlets. One is a normal outlet like the one in your home. The other 2 are the 30 and 50 amp outlets. Our RV is a 30 amp outlet. It's pretty simple because that plug will only go into one outlet. Hey Bryant, I plugged into the outlet and there's still no electricity. Well, check the breaker. Most campsites have a breaker switch or 3. Make sure you turn it off when you leave, which also means you probably need to turn it on when you get there. Now listen close, because this will save you time, stress, and phone calls to me later. If, like Clark W. Griswold, you run all your Christmas lights through one outlet at home, you're going to flip your breaker. You can scratch your head over for hours, or you can just go flip the breaker. Now, Hallelujah music may start playing in the background, but most likely you'll just hear the AC turn on. And if you aren't really catching my references, you don't deserve to rent my RV. Next, find the orange extension cord and plug it into the electrical hookup. You'll use this later to hook up the portable AC unit inside. Over the tire is the gas tank valve. It just takes normal gas, nothing fancy. It's a 2004 Ford, not a 2020 sports car. You'll pick it up with a full tank of gas and it needs to return home all the way full too. Right here is a little outdoor shower. You can use it to clean off sandy feet or your tank hoses when you're all done. Next is your most feared compartment, the black and gray water hoses. The gray water will come out gray because it's all the water from the sinks and shower. The black water comes out, well, whatever color you decide it will come out. We'll call it black because brown or green water really isn't socially acceptable. I normally try to steal extra gloves after we do surgery, so check in the driver door to see if there's any extra gloves you can use. You don't need a mask or gown, but mentally I always prepare myself for the worst and watch where my hands go and where I'm standing at all times. Now over in the brown box are the dump tank hoses. The clear elbow thing is what connects to the single dump tube. It's clear for a reason, and you'll see why. Next, hook up the other end to your dump station hookup. Most have a white lid that screws off or a metal hinge that lifts up. Make sure your adapter fits and hook it up. Last thing, take that orange hose, the one that says not for drinking water, and hook it up as shown. This will make sense later. That's all for now, since the dump tanks were emptied before you picked it up. And just like the gas, leave it how you found it. If the thought of emptying your own tanks disgusts you, you can always pay me to do it, but it's easier and sort of part of the whole RV camping initiation to learn how to do it for yourself. I personally recommend emptying your tank early in the morning, smoking a cigar, and wearing a white robe and hideous hat. There may even be a famous phrase you're supposed to say if anyone looks at you weird while emptying your tanks. By now you've probably figured out what my favorite movie is. I highly recommend you stop watching this video right now and go watch it if you haven't. Now on to emptying your tanks. With a family of 6 with 4 little ones, we use lots of water and flush the toilet way too much. That being said, and even taking conservative showers, we last anywhere between 3 and 4 days between empties. There's a meter on the inside that shows you how full the tanks are, but it doesn't always work that well. I would just plan on every couple of days and you'll be fine. Okay, see those 2 handles? Black is always first. Again, black is first. You'll want the cleaner gray water to chase down the black water after you empty it. Make sure everything is hooked up correctly. If the end going into the ground does not screw in, then make sure something is holding it down, or this will ruin your day. Next, turn on the orange hose water and let some of the water run through the clear elbow joint. Then turn the black knob back off. Assuming everything is hooked up, pull that black handle out slowly, and you can name your own water color. Nobody judges you for watching the whole process, but at least glance at it so you know when it's done emptying. Now, turn the little black knob to let the orange hose water shoot up and clean the tank. I usually run it for 3 to 5 minutes depending on if this is the last dump of the trip or not. Then turn off the knob and check for clear water. If not, flush it some more. When it's all the way empty, I always shoot about 10 seconds of water back up into the tank and then slowly push back the handle. When you're back inside, you'll add a little orange pod to help it decompose, so the water at the bottom helps. Next is the gray water. Same story. After the gray water has run its course, shoot some clean water up there and shut the valve. Next, when both valves are shut, I run the water full blast for another few minutes to wash out the hose. I know you don't really have any incentive to keep all the hoses clean, but at least just do it for me, or for the next family. When you pack it all back up, shake off the hoses, cap the ends together like you found it, and please do not put the black clear water hose on or near the gross dump tank hoses. Now that you're an RV plumbing expert, let's move on. The next storage compartment has random stuff like tiki torches, a Dutch oven, fishing equipment, and a table. Around the back, we'll come to the other side. Here, you'll see the AC vent from the inside that hangs out the back window, the orange extension cord used to power it, and if we follow way up here, you'll see the backup camera, which we'll talk about later. Quick side note, there is no reason during your trip that anyone will need to climb up on the roof. My kids know they're not allowed up there. Although it can hold your weight, it's a very easy fall off the side, especially for kids. Down below here is another storage with camp chairs and hammocks. Feel free to use anything you want. If you break something, just replace it before you come home, or tell me and we can take it out of the security deposit. And above that is a water heater tank. Just ignore that. The next compartment has a little jump starter that can air up tubes. There are also some redneck Christmas lights, so knock yourself out. Finally, this little box is a stereo. One of the keys unlocks it. Speaking of keys, there are several keys, and the majority of the outside compartments all use the long silver diamond key, except for the stereo. I don't think the outlets work, but the speaker does. Over the front door is the awning. I'll make another video about how to set up our awning. It really does deserve its own video. If anything is going to break on your trip, the most expensive and easiest thing to break is the awning. Most people choose not to mess with it, because any wind and it's a goner, but you have every right to open it up, so I'll show you how. Alright, let's head inside. Careful with the steps because they come out automatically. And before we go any further, and before Allie takes over, there are a few important things at the entrance. Right here, there is a kill switch. This is super important, especially if you are not hooked up to electricity or if the generator is not on. The camper will run the lights for a while, especially since they're mostly LED. However, I have no idea for how long. Under the steps are two big car batteries that self-charge when hooked up, but I'm always a little paranoid. So, make sure you kick the off switch whenever you leave. If you're hooked up to the electricity, the kill switch is pointless, but when you drop off the camper or park it without electricity, just kick it off or you may end up stranded. Well, not really, since the engine has its own battery up front, but I just do it anyway. Last important thing I want to touch on before Allie takes over is the breaker box. Again, this will save you and me several headaches. If the power flips off randomly, chances are a breaker has been flipped. And chances are the first breaker to flip is this one. So, before you run out in the dark in your underwear and try to flip the main breaker, open up this breaker box by turning the black knob at the top. You may need to unplug some things before it's able to flip back on. Okay, I know that's a lot to take in, just for the outside stuff, but I hope this video is better than trying to remember it all at once. Feel free to reference it again in the future. The next video will be a walkthrough of the inside by Allie. She was out of town when we made this, so all you get is her voice. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Giles Across America. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us.